Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2020. The time is 9:04 a.m. This is our weekly Commissioner Status Update. Officially calling this meeting to order, attending are Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, change the order a little bit, because we'll need more time for the executive session versus the other action items. So I'll begin with action item number 2, which is the Property Tax Relief Program. Leslie?
So this board agreed to go ahead and submit our letter of intent. In my mind, I was hoping to get written clarification from the Treasury to see if this program is legal in their eyes or follows their guidance. The governor issued an executive order on Thursday, August 6th. And so I just wanted to read a couple paragraphs here and to make sure that everybody is still on the same page and comfortable, because it does not look like we are going to get written confirmation from the Treasury.
Okay.
So I did forward this to you this morning. I just got it yesterday, so I apologize for the tardiness of that. But a couple of the little whereas is U.S. Treasury guidance states that as a matter of administrative convenience, the entire public health and public safety payroll costs may be presumed to be substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. And this presumption of substantial dedication to COVID-19 efforts exists regardless of whether or not the payroll costs were accounted for in the budget. So these are a couple of the questions that that we had as a board. And then, whereas on July 16, 2020, I, meaning the governor, met with senior U.S. Treasury and White House staff in Washington, D.C. to discuss the initiative and received positive reinforcement that the proposed plan aligns with U.S. Treasury guidance. So I invited the treasurer to weigh in on this. This still gives me a little bit of concern that the Treasury's not willing to give us written confirmation that they're okay with this. And with this $10 million that we're slated to get, that would be all of our foregone balance should they come back and say, you did this wrong, and now we want you to repay the money. Mm-hmm. So it's a very big deal for me. So I just wanted to bring it up again, and then I would like also another vote probably before the budget hearing on the 26th, just to make sure that we are still in agreement, that we are staying in the program, or if we're getting out of the program, I don't know. So that's why I brought it up today. And I don't know, Steve, do you have anything to add?
I'm not sure I have anything of value to add, but I'll give you a couple comments. I don't know what the right answer on this is. I don't think anybody does, so people are struggling. It's a difficult decision. You said $10 million, so I'm assuming that's the amount that we could claim from the state of Idaho. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have a lot to add. I think there's risks by taking it, and there's risk by not taking it.
Right.
Do we have a deadline?
Probably our budget, probably August 26th. We need to let the governor know if we are or are not going to participate by August 26th. And then I also asked the auditor to give me new levy rates, so we could have a discussion with the public via social media or something, saying that, okay, here's the levy rate as proposed, here's the levy rate with that $10 million property tax relief. So people could see exactly how it affects that, and they could think in their own mind, is this worth it or is it not worth it? So I'm just curious, and I know Dina's gone, so I assume I'll probably get something like that this week, and I'll let everybody know. But that's just another piece to it. It's like, what does our levy rate look like with this $10 million taken out?
Wish I had more to add, but. it's-
No, and I thought it was more than 10 mil, but is that
Well-
what it is, 10 million?
It's our portion of it is the issue. So,
Because it was
Prorated.
oversubscribed, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
Because
the
it was
188 million,
oversubscribed, then they
okay.
have to allocate it in a different percentage. Now, I would not be surprised if, like Kootenai County, many counties and maybe some cities chose to participate like you guys did, but may reverse their decision, kind of like I think you were intending to do if you didn't get written confirmation from the Treasury. So even though it's $10 million now, that could conceivably go up higher as others choose not to stay in the
Participate.
program. I don't think it can go down, though, at this point.
so thank you.
Okay, thanks,
That's all I
Steve.
got.
You bet. Any questions? Bill, you okay? No decision to be made at this point, so.
No, but are you guys more comfortable with this executive order, or are you still up in the air? How are you guys feeling?
I'm comfortable. I don't think you can have, with something like this, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. I'd like a guarantee. I don't think it's possible.
Meaning what? What are you thinking?
I would like to know that we're gonna get what we think we're gonna get, and we're not gonna get less. I do like the idea of showing, on our website or social media what the comparison is, so people can see that. But I don't think there's any way you can guarantee what's gonna happen. We're in a year of uncertainties.
Yeah, I guess it's wait and see. You know, my current thinking is that if we don't get something bona fide that is in writing, I would be leaning against it. Okay, maybe they have a deal, maybe the governor has a special relationship with the president, but boy, I'd sure like to see it in writing. Because at least if we have that, if it's ever challenged, I think we've got some cover. Yes, Steve, please.
I don't know if you were able to listen to that conference call. I think it was a week ago. It might have been a little bit longer. The governor got on the phone with his staff and said repeatedly that they are extremely confident in their decision. They also acknowledged, though, that the U.S. Treasury or the White House will not be coming forth with any new written guidance because they believe, even though, this is per what the governor said, even though the state of Idaho has interpreted it in a way that they're not going to fight, any additional written clarification would create more questions, more concerns. So they are not intending to issue anything. It's not going to happen. And the rationale per the governor was that even though Idaho is safe in their assumptions, they're not going to support that in any kind of written guidance.
And the state won't indemnify us.
They've said verbally, the governor says verbally, that he's standing behind it, but I think the facts are he may not even be governor at the time when this all is resolved, a year or two down the road, or three. So even though he stands behind his decision, I don't think he can make a commitment on behalf of the state that we will be indemnified.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something to ponder for sure. Anything else? Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, item number 3, pending item status review per the attached list. Okay. So let's start with Romer House. Anyone have anything? Leslie, you met with, oh, Shawn.
I think Leslie's going to start it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So a couple more events have been added. You should have gotten them in your packet for consent calendar, and they're pretty, one is just like the one they had last Tuesday, but with a little more clarification so they understand what our expectations are. And then the other one is going to be on the lawn only and does not involve the house. And Shawn is very well aware of these things. When I go to write the restrictions, Shawn and I talk about it to make sure that we're all on board with the restrictions. So, Shawn, do you have
Anything to add, Shawn?
Yeah, a couple things. I would like to get a copy of the one on the 18th.
Yeah.
As often I am direct, I'll just be direct. So, there's a repeated history of not following instructions. If I were in town this weekend, I would go by on Saturday. Somebody needs to go by on Saturday and make sure that there's nobody up on the porch and that, that the thing's not running amok. That's the first part that I want to add to it.
And I think the 14th is Friday, so it's a Friday evening thing.
Okay, so somebody needs to go by when this thing's taking place. That's my suggestion because of the liability and the condition of the building.
Sure.
It's gonna, we could put some extra caution tape up on the porch. I may ask them to do that. But I think somebody needs to look into it.
What time is it Friday?
4 to 8 or
4 to
something like
8,
that.
yeah,
It
something like that.
coincides with Art Walk.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you
So-
don't want people hanging out on the porch?
No,
No.
there's not supposed to be anybody on the porch.
And that's directly listed in their restrictions.
Right, and that they were not to plug into the building. They had asked to plug their electrical into the building, and we told them they needed to get a generator or a battery pack.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to follow up on that.
Okay.
In my
All right,
opinion.
I can do that.
Okay,
I can do that.
and then if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then somebody probably needs to shut it down. And that's my second point is, Leslie and I talked about this second building tour, okay? And there's some things in there that are stipulated that have to happen. And I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not gonna go through what I went through the last time and have that type of frustration. I don't need it. So if they can't do what they're supposed to do, I'm gonna shut them down. I should have shut them down last time. Pat said, you should have shut it down. But I didn't feel that I had the backing to do that.
It's all right, it's okay.
So I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. I have no problem doing it. And I like the arrangement that we have, that we've worked out, but I just got to make sure we're following through on this. That's all.
Okay, so what exactly is occurring on Friday?
It's my understanding on Friday night that they're going to have a concert on the
Okay.
grounds. They're not to be on the porch. The building is not going to be opened up, and they were to provide their own electricity. Now, I don't know what they're going to be doing for, if they got a porta potty. I don't know what arrangements they made. That could become an issue with people coming over and trying to come in the building till 5 o'clock. I don't know for sure what they're doing.
Is the building secure so that if people tried to come in the building, they could not?
Oh, yeah, it's locked up.
Building's locked, okay.
Yeah, it's locked up tight. And I'll have somebody go over and check it right after lunch Friday, make sure the caution tape's up. The caution tape's not supposed to be torn down. They understand that.
And the caution tape is basically restricting access to the porch?
Yes,
Okay.
you can be on the steps. Those are I think concrete or brick, but you're not to
Stone,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, there's some stone, but you're not to be on the porch.
Understood.
It needs to be refinished. There's slivers all over the place on
Got
that
it.
thing. I'm not so sure you wouldn't fall through it. Okay, that's all I have for Romer.
Okay, and that's this Friday, 14th.
And then the other one is the 18th.
Yes, and that's just another tour.
Yes.
Okay, so for the 14th is a concert.
Yeah.
Also, I might just bring up that I have reached out to Ted Lancy. He hasn't gotten back to me yet on what would be needed if it comes down to that, permit-wise, to tear it down. In talking to Cannon Hill, prior to that happening, we will have to have an asbestos test done in the building. That'll cost us probably around $1,200, but they won't tear it down. And they are able to do that test.
Because they want to make sure the particles don't get into the air, okay.
Right,
Okay.
right. Okay.
Understood. Is that it? Any questions for Shawn?
No, I just want to make it clear that I've heard rumors that I'm going to change my mind and vote to lease this property out. And I want to make it very clear at every opportunity that I am not going to. And I think we should definitely, because it's looking like they're not raising the money, be prepared to demolish that building as we said we would. Just so there's no, I don't want anybody to have false hope.
Fair enough.
See where it goes.
Okay, thanks, Shawn.
Thanks.
Okay. Citizen Advisory Committee, Bill, you've indicated that,
I'm working on it.
okay,
The bylaws, and I'm talking to some people, but nothing firm yet.
okay. Until after the public hearing.
Yeah.
At the end of August. Okay, fire station at the fairgrounds, I believe Dave Ferguson has possession of the lease, or the lease agreement for the fairgrounds, right? And that's under review. Alexia, do you have anything to contribute? No.
The fair board is going to review it tomorrow night, and then I hope that we get to present it to you.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. All right. Moving on, U of I Extension, new home. Shawn, you want to come back on? You should have stayed there.
Okay, so, in our last meeting, we asked Charla which was her first preference of the buildings that she was looking at, and she said this particular building that you have the floor plan of,
Okay.
which is the Welsh Comer, the old Welsh Comer building.
On
So,
Kathleen.
yes, the one at 350 Kathleen, I believe it is. So I went out and toured it with Phil last Thursday, I think it was. I think it was Thursday. Suite 100 is just about what they have now, 4,200 square feet. He's willing to take some walls down out of the middle of it to open the space up. There's some pony walls in there. It says that these interior walls are 7-foot partition walls and easily removed. He also said that, if need be, he could put a small little refrigerator in the conference room. There's already a sink. There's no kitchen there. Even where it says existing kitchen, there's no stove anywhere in the building. And that's not in the MOU anyway. There's nothing in the MOU that says we have to provide them with a kitchen.
Okay.
So the only thing that it lacks is the large meeting room that they have now. That's it. The rest of it is more offices than they currently have. Right now, they have 4. Just this one side has 7. So, it's a little bit more space, office
Space.
wise, and then, so I just told Phil that I was gonna come back and talk to you guys, and I guess the first thing that's gonna have to happen, and Charlotte's not here,
No,
is,
she's online.
oh, Charlotte's on the phone. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello.
Do you want the whole building or just the 4,200 square feet? Is that has a lot to do with what Welch Comer's gonna have to do as far as putting up a wall to get this separate, the 2,200 square feet off, because otherwise people are just gonna wander through the building. It does have the infrastructure data-wise and phone-wise. I mean, these guys had computers everywhere. Obviously, they were engineers.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So there's some cabinet stuff in there. And the bottom line, he's willing to work with us. He would like to see a longer-term lease, obviously who wouldn't? But some things he was gonna do to the building anyway, so he's not, it's not like he's not gonna do some things. I think that the longer there is a promise to stay, the more willing he would be to really start tearing into things.
Right.
So we just need to decide, first of all, how much she wants, and then which one of the 3 of you is gonna be starting the negotiations for the space.
Okay, so tell me about the conference room. How does that compare to the current conference room at the elections office? Smaller?
The meeting room at elections office, the big meeting room
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
extension side,
Yeah.
it's half of that.
It's a pretty big room, though.
It's a good size. I mean, they had 20-some people on staff, and, that's where they had their staff meetings. They had a big, huge table in there with,
But I mean, the one that their U of I is currently using is a fairly large room.
oh, it's a huge room. I
Yeah,
mean, it'll
okay.
hold 50, 60 people.
Okay,
And it's
okay.
hard to find any office space around that has a room big enough to accommodate that many
Okay.
people.
Charlotte, can you deal with that?
So when I'd walked through the Welsh Comer building with the realtor previously, kind of what I'm envisioning is using Suite 100 for our office spaces. I think we could even leave up those partition walls. We actually have 5 structural offices in our building right now, plus additional with cubicle and the additional space that the Eat Smart uses that was the former coroner's office before they built the 2 offices in the back. So we really do need 6 offices at least, but we also have the overflow of additional staff that needs at least somewhere to remote to work. So I think the offices are good. That small conference room in the front would not be large enough to hold our regular meetings. I got looking at the scheduling calendar. Most months we average about 13 meetings a month. If they're willing to work with us, I can envision that Suite 200 serving as our conference, as our larger meeting space. That would also leave that kitchenette that we could work with to serve as our break room and workspace for the Eat Smart staff. So I'm game to work with the Welsh Comer that as being a prospect.
Okay.
So you're saying you need all 6,200 square feet to make this work, or 60?
Well, so if
65.
we don't have in-house meeting space, then we need to identify where extension is going to be using for meeting space, and that needs to be worked into the MOU. So that is, without question, where we are allowed to use for meetings, because we've had issues in the past about if we should be or shouldn't be in certain spaces.
Shawn, thoughts? Leslie? anything?
I think just the next step is to negotiate with Welsh Comer to see if we can afford it.
So what are they asking for?
Charlotte, do you remember what it was a square foot? I didn't even ask him because that was not my job to talk about money, so I don't even remember what it was.
So the list, the real estate list, was right around $8,000 a month for the combined 1 and 200.
Okay.
But as you had alluded to, Shawn, you may be able to do some much better negotiations, especially if he's willing to work with us. So I have
Well,
no
that's
idea
not
what
me
that's gonna
doing
look
that.
like.
That's somebody else doing
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I
okay.
mean, there are some options on the table. We've had this discussion, especially you and I have had that discussion. So I think that's the next step, and then we'll see because, again, the clock is ticking, and I asked Phil, I said, okay, so if for some reason this does go through, they can't conduct their business while you're tearing out the walls and stuff. And he said he has a couple contractors that'll come when he calls them.
Okay.
They could get it done quickly.
Is he here this week or is he on vacation this
No,
week?
he was on vacation. I lose track of
was
time.
last-
Good.
He was back, so he's
So-
back now.
Okay.
Okay, so then, Chris, is that something you want to work on the negotiation? Or I can, it doesn't matter.
Either way. Bill, how do you feel?
Either one of you, if you want to do it, go ahead.
You know what? We've got the other thing coming up. You want to handle this one and I'll handle that one? Or do you want to handle both?
I'm probably easier to handle this one than that one. I don't want to handle both.
Oh, okay. So you want to take this one?
Sure.
You sure?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to do both?
Well, let me have the initial meeting, and if I
Okay,
feel
okay,
like
take it from
we
there.
can't go forward, then
Okay, cool.
we'll do that. But yeah, I
Okay,
don't mind
so-
making initial contact.
And we are probably going to have to meet as a board, and I don't know if this is going to call for exec, because we're going to have to come up with some sort of strategy and decide what we're offering.
Yeah, because there's some things that you can do that might help sweeten that pot a little bit, if you will, for lack of a better term. But we're not gonna go into those. I don't think you'd have to ask legal, but I think that would be a good discussion to have after you're done and we've reached the number.
Right.
Then we could have those other discussions.
Yeah, because I don't see why, if we can't reach a number that we can work with, then there's no reason to get legal involved in all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right, that's right. I think what you want to do is negotiate a price. Charlotte, I have a question for you. Are you saying that if we need the full 6,200 square feet, that you're also going to need an additional conference room?
So if we just do Suite 100, then we need to identify where Extension is going to have availability within the county spaces. So is it 1A, 1B? Where is it that we go when we have meetings that are larger than the 20 people or whatever we can put in that small conference room that is currently in the building?
But if we do both, Suite 200 and 100, then this gives all this
Then
area here,
we're
and
set.
then there's the little kitchenette.
Okay, so then you can operate
And
entirely.
then we're set.
Okay, I got it. Okay, fair enough, thank you. Okay, so then, I guess you'll take the lead on this one, Leslie?
So you
We
and
work
I
with
will
Shawn and-
talk, and I'll set up a meeting out there with Phil.
Yes.
for
Shawn, when,
probably- Try to do it Wednesday if I can.
Okay.
When Phil says longer term, as in 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, pardon me, I think he'd like to see 2 or 3 years at least, you know, I mean, it's, if you own a building and you're trying to lease it, you know, it always sounds better if somebody's saying 1 year with an option for another versus 3 years,
Okay,
and
cool.
then we go from there. So
Okay,
that's what he was looking for.
wonderful. Charlotte, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Leslie and Shawn will work together and begin, I guess, negotiation on the 6,200 square feet. Okay. All right, moving on. Body scanner. Bill,
The sheriff's department is overspent on their medical, no fault of theirs, but they're waiting till they get that worked out to find out where the money's coming from, so it's kind of on hold.
okay. Go ahead, Shawn.
No, I was just up here for the next one.
You're just waiting.
Nancy, did you want to contribute
I knew I was
anything on
coming
this
up for
medical
this.
thing with the jail?
Their last bill was substantially over, their last bill was over 300. Their last medical bill was over 300,000, so it looks like just in that one line item, they're gonna be about $700,000 over budget. So unless the sheriff has money outside of the jail, I don't think the jail's budget will be able to afford that. But if the sheriff has some money in his other budgets that he would like to contribute, there might be some money there.
Okay. Good enough. Anyone else? Bill, you okay?
Yeah, it's, in fact, the facts speak for themselves.
Okay, fair enough. Ongoing facilities expansion, I think we already took that up, and we'll be going into executive session shortly. Shawn?
Well, this one has to do with the RFQ for the new building.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh,
So I got
expansion.
that,
Yeah,
I
okay.
got that back from legal. It's ready to go, so I'll get with Terry and then I'll email you guys when it goes into the newspaper. So we'll advertise it 2 consecutive Mondays, back to back, the 14 days by statute. And then the packets will come in, and then in the meantime, while all that's going on, we'll look at the calendar and pick a time and I'll get you the scoring sheets ahead of time, and we'll pick a time, and we'll go down that road. But I'll keep you posted on it.
First ad, when do you think the first one will appear?
I don't have my calendar in front of me. It's probably gonna be that Monday, the 1st, I think it is. I wanna get it out before Labor Day.
So August 31st is a Monday.
Oh, so that would
August
be
31st, it will
31st.
go, it will most likely go out.
So then
I
Labor
have to work with
Day,
Terry on the
Labor Day,
advertising.
September 7th?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then it's due back September 29th. I don't want to give them 8 weeks to do it, but I do want to give them at least 3 weeks, because these packets can get very extensive and it costs them a lot of money and time to do them.
So you're giving them how much time? End of September?
About 3 weeks.
Okay. Just roughly, quick recap, size of the building, number of floors roughly?
5 floors, 15,000 square feet per floor. The 5th floor would be shelled. Leslie and I had a conversation, I think it was Friday, that if it holds the community development, and that's between community development and being able to work at home, and then me realizing that he was moving all court into the building, which didn't need to happen, we were able to eliminate 2 floors. So if it comes to pass that we don't have to bring community development in, because that was almost a full floor, then the public defender's probably gonna go on the first floor, then the courts would go on the second, and so forth and so forth. So it's gonna have detention-type holding cells, so they have to have the capability to design that under jail standards, and it will still have the underground parking, holding cells, and AMP in the basement.
Okay.
That's the way it's written.
And the location is on campus
Yes.
between here,
I'm gonna put it over in the Romer.
never mind. Okay, so,
Oh, start
so the current location.
I couldn't
proposed-
resist myself.
Yeah, I'm sure, is between here and the court.
It's between the 2 court buildings, and it's gonna be called the Kootenai County Attorney Center. That's
I
what,
thought you said Justice Center.
No, because we have a justice.
we have a justice
Oh.
building now and a courthouse, so.
Okay.
We just decided, Leslie thought that was a good name for it, because both attorneys are in the building. And I think with it being called that, it's gonna be a lot easier for the public to find
Where they need to go.
where they need to go.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm good. That's
Good.
it. Okay, thank you. Okay, PAC Airport lease. Leslie.
So this is directly related to Armory discussion that we'll be having this afternoon. So there's not a whole lot to report until we make a final decision on the Armory.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's this afternoon, isn't it? Okay, and the final item is review of meeting with building representatives. What is that?
I don't know, you put it on.
Review of meeting with building representatives. Oh, and thank you. Okay, so, I'm sorry, thank you, Nancy. Okay, so that's me. So about a week and a half ago, David Callahan, Christina, who is one of our inspectors, and I met with a few builders, and it was led by Barry Stearns, who is also on our planning commission, and Rod was there, Dave was there, both builders. Well, Dave, I think, fills another role, and then Leslie from the Builders and Contractors Association. Anyway, the purpose of the meeting was really twofold. One was to address turnaround time on permits, and the other one was to try to come up with a way to expedite the inspections. And so we, the board, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, authorized David to hire another inspector. So that should help there. And then Christina's going to take some measures along with her coworkers to try and alert the builders ahead of time in advance of permits that are inspections that are being scheduled during the construction phase. So we're trying to take measures to expedite things as best we can. So it was a pretty good meeting all in all. Okay. EMS update. So we had the final budget review, which is the one that runs just ahead of the final, which is the same night as our final budget presentation. And so EMS is not taking any of the subsidies coming from the federal government through the state, property tax relief, that is. So they are going to go in for the 3%, which is approximately, I want to say, about $65,000. They do have some other money coming in. Maybe I have it reversed. Maybe that's 180 and the other is 65, but they're not going to participate in the property tax relief. And again, their price, their mill rate, if you will, per 100,000 is really nominal at best. And so their revenues tend to fluctuate because occasionally they get into a situation where they'll make a call and I hate to use the word victim, but the individual, the client, will decide, well, I don't need to go. Well, yeah, but we just made the call. So what happens? Now, if it's Medicare or Medicaid, it gets billed, but if it's private, it's a whole another situation. So anyway, that's the situation with them. We do have a new director, and that's Bill Keeley. Bill was the assistant director. Chief Chris Way has moved on to Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. And I haven't had a chance to check my email, but I believe that Director Keeley or Chief Keeley has made an offer or has someone he's about to make an offer to for his assistant because he's been going through the interview process. So, and I suspect we as commissioners will weigh in. It is a joint powers agreement, as you all know, and it's made up of 5 board members. The chairman is Woody McEvers from the city of Coeur d'Alene. Anyway, that's it on EMS. Okay. So that wraps up the weekly calendar review. And that's the same as pending items. 3 and 4 are really identical, aren't they?
Well,
Or is
yes
it?
and no, I mean, they're combined, so.
Okay, so we combine them. So just for the record, we just addressed items 3 and 4 on the agenda. So we're going to move back up to item number 1, which is Kootenai County Facilities. And so I'm going to entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Sure, I move we enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061C.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, entering into executive session.
Thanks, Kim and Charla. We're going to hang up now.
Okay, Nancy's good too? Speaker.
Oh, I can be heard without, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, so the time is now 10:10. We're about to exit executive session. Is there a motion?
I move we exit executive session with staff to proceed as discussed.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried to proceed as discussed. The time, public comment? Hearing none, 10:11, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.